Hello to all my dark artists out there. Seth Dark Arts back. 21st video. There's a lot of things we gotta talk about. We gotta catch up on so much. And I know I've been gone for a minute. I know some people are probably like, damn man, where'd he go? He just left us hanging. But nah, I'm always thinking about you. Everybody out there. I've been in some real deep meditations recently. Some real travels, man. Some stuff to tell all of y'all. But first, I want to kick this video off with 3 of the biggest hoaxes, jokes, and yeah, I'm going to just leave it at joke because that's what they are. 3 of the biggest jokes and cons that have ever been pulled over a large mass population of people. And that's number 1, that royal families are a symbol of a country or a nation's pride. 2, their dreams are nothing more than brain chemistry that's going on when we sleep to try to sort out events that happen during the day or other periods of time. Therefore, not real. And 3, did I say 3 before? Anyway, and 3, that time and space are real. Those are the 3 biggest jokes that have been pulled over us. And some of the things that have been limiting our abilities to advance to who we really are. And that is multidimensional beings that exist outside of time and space, also known as gods in training. But let me jump on this first one real quick. I went out recently and I was chilling in some place and I got into a conversation with this person, and they were trying to tell me that royal families, we need to have royal families and still give them respect because they are a symbol and they serve as symbols of a country's history and pride and as a symbol of a nation. And I just had to laugh. I just had to laugh because for me, they don't serve as a symbol of a country or a nation's pride. For me, it serves as a reminder of a nation's ignorance of who they really were at a specific time in our history, or so-called history. See, for me, I don't give a damn about royal families because all they are to me is a group of people who at some moment in our perceived timeline who set themselves up amongst everybody else and said, hey, you know what? These people are idiots. Let's hijack this roadshow. We're gonna set ourselves up as kings, and because probably at that time they had a little wealth, probably a little bit more successful over more than the local people, everybody else, or also they could have had some knowledge that made them appear as gods. They basically just set up shop, man, and put themselves as kings. It's that simple. That's all that happened. And if people really knew who they were and knew their capabilities and knew that they were multidimensional beings that exist outside of time and space and in so many other realities all simultaneously, they won't be sitting around talking about no royal families and praising nobody. So I can't understand, in this day and age, yes, I know there's a lot of nonsense, garbage knowledge out here, but there's also a lot of good knowledge out here that some people are sharing. And I can't comprehend that in this day and age, we're still having parades and walking around celebrating so-called queens and kings and emperors and all these other silly things that are going on. But that's all I see them as, silly things. You know, you sit down, I see people, man, they be clapping, cheering. This person comes riding out in I don't know what the hell, they have a gold carriage with some horses. You got some clowns walking behind them with funny suits on and marching. I'm like, man, this is Twilight Zone sometimes. Because you'd be like, God damn, I can't believe this is going on. What reality have I crossed over into that people have to be this gullible? And it's just a big joke to me. So, yeah. And I doubt that any of my viewers, I doubt any of my fellow dark artists are out there playing these games. But for anyone who has come to my videos, and if you are still entertained by all that, you need to drop that real quick, man, because it's not doing you any help. It's not helping you, and it's not helping. It's just not helping anybody, man. It's not help. Forget about everybody else. It's not helping you. How is this helping you? And I look at these people who sit here clapping. You know, they're like, "Woo, yay, the queen or the emperor, the royal families," and all this. And I'm like, man, y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. Y'all really should. What are you sitting here praising these people for? The whole concept of a royal family is very simple, and I'm gonna give it to you as real as possible. You. Excuse the language, but I have to say this to get my point across. The whole concept of royal family is this. Very simple. You are nobody. You're shit. You're nobody. You're nobody. You're beneath us. And because of our bloodline, you are nothing more than peasants. And that's what it really comes down to, a royal family. So I can't comprehend people in this day and age still sitting around, clapping and throwing parades and joining in on this crap, man. I don't get it. Why don't people want to tap into their own power? This is something that, for the love of me, man, I just cannot comprehend. Why, when you tell people that they have their own abilities, they have power, they can manifest, they can do all this stuff, why do they just want to sidestep all of that, call it nonsense, laugh, but then they turn around and wave flags and would basically lick the floor and grovel before a so-called royal family, man? I don't get it. Do you get it? Because I don't get it. But yeah, and you just gotta laugh at this stuff, man, because it is funny. It is funny, man. It is. Yeah, that's something else that just popped in my head. I was going to say it, but it slipped my mind. All right, forget it. It'll come to me in a little while, probably later on. But anyway, so yeah, don't be looking at all this stuff, man. Talking about royal families and all this. The real royal family, you're a royal family. Sorry, I'm using a different camera right now. But yeah, man, we're royalty in our own right. All of us, everybody on the planet is royalty. I said it before. I don't care if you got one shoe, one roll of toilet paper, and 2 peanuts. You're still royalty. You're a god, and you're a multidimensional being, and you deserve to be treated like one, regardless of your status or whatever your current situation is. And people need to remember that. Don't be worshiping no goddamn royal family and kings and queens and all this nonsense. This is stupid. This is like little kid stuff. So that's my rant on that. Yeah, I know I gotta go on rant sometimes because I gotta let that energy out. But anyway. Yeah, man, all this BS. My royal. What's a royal family? What does that even mean? I mean, we know what it means, but what is that supposed to mean to me? What is that supposed to mean to you? What is that supposed to mean to any of us? A royal family, man. I say this: when you have royal families, and the moment so-called, I mean, the whole idea of a royal family is that they're gods or they were chosen by God or some nonsense. And they have all this power. I say this: the moment they were exposed to not be who they were, the moment, if a royal family of any country has set themselves up as gods, the first moment that they were exposed that they were not gods, they should have been dragged out into the streets. I don't want to get violent. I'm not going to say kill them, but they should have been dragged out into the streets. And if not kill them, because I don't want to push out, murder, but at least they should have been dethroned, stripped of all titles, stripped of all wealth. The wealth should have been distributed amongst the people, and that whole era should have just came to an end right there. In all this nonsense about royal families. That's what should have happened. But no, we sidestep and let these clowns parade around on their own time and at their own leisure, and they expect us to participate in it. And obviously people are, because people still do it, and you see it all the time. But that's what I say. If I was in an era where we had a so-called royal family of kings and queens, and they were supposed to be gods, the moment they failed in their job, and they were called out to be what they really were, which is just like the rest of us. I don't want to contradict myself. I know I said we're all gods in training, and that's true. But I've also said that doesn't mean that we're supposed to be putting ourselves up above anybody else as if we're better than them. So let's just say, based on the historical times of how things were rolling back in the days, centuries, and let's say you did elect a certain group of people who may have just had a little bit more juice or a little bit more leadership qualities, and you elected them to be kings and queens. The moment they proved not to be who they were, they should have been gone. They should have been stripped of all titles. I'm not condoning saying that we need it. We don't even need any of this stuff, kings and queens and royal families. But I'm just saying, for the sake of their times that they were in, the moment they were called out and cannot prove themselves and work their abilities on that level that they're portraying, they should have been stripped of all power. It's just that simple. So, yeah, that's my rant on that, man. Man, you should have seen this guy, man. I mean, he was like, well, he was foaming at the mouth, man. He said, no, we need royal families, the symbol of the country. And I'm like, all right, take it easy, man. I said, well, you know, you have powers too, you know. You know that you exist outside of time and space, and you do have a lot of abilities that you could tap into. And he's like, oh, yeah, I know. I know we all have powers and the human mind is powerful, but the royal family is, and I'm like, look, I gotta laugh to keep the mood light. I've had this so many times, and I'm sure that many of you have probably had it. Sometimes it's like, and I wasn't debating this guy. We were just having a conversation, and I just said what I wanted to say. It wasn't even a debate because there's nothing to debate. But sometimes I get on this mood, man, where it's like I am a multi-dimensional being trying to talk to somebody who's insistent on being a two-dimensional being or a three-dimensional being or whatever. I mean, I don't even want to say three-dimensional, man. Some people are so closed-minded. They're like one-dimensional beings. I don't even know what level they're on, man, but they're not on mine. I know that. And they're probably not on most of the people who watch my videos levels also. So, yeah. Now, moving along. Number 2 I had said was the fact that dreams are nothing more than brain chemistry. Man, I have to tell all of you this. That has to be one of the biggest hoaxes and misinformation that has been given out through history, is the fact that dreams are just brain chemistry. And when you had all these clowns like, what's his name, Freud, coming out, talking about dreams are nothing more than suppressed sexual desires and all this nonsense, he's another one that comes out that people still quote him. And I'm like, most of what he said has already been, I mean, it's been exposed. If anyone came close to anything, it probably would have been Jung, because Jung went a completely different way. Even he was also off for many things, but he was probably more closer than Freud. And I don't know if many people know this, but if you look it up on the internet, Jung had his own, you could call it, like I've said, the inner self. He had his own not deity, but kind of like an advisor that was not of this world. He called it Philemon. And I think the spelling is Philemon or IMON. But just look it up on the internet. Jung's spirit guide, Philemon or something. And this thing manifested. And to him, he said that it was real. And it was not a figment of his imagination or his subconscious, because it knew information that he had completely no idea about. And this thing had manifested. Now, a lot of people could sit around and debate on that, but there's one thing I noticed: a lot of people don't like to get into Jung too much, because he was more on the fringe and more on the outside of all this psychology and all these things. But even him, he had his own access to his inner self. Now, he probably projected that outward into that manifestation of Philemon. Or Philemon could have been simply another entity that contacted him. We don't know, we weren't there. But the bottom line is, it was a real event for him. And he stuck by it and said, yeah, it was real. It wasn't imagination. It was actually there. And they used to take walks in the garden, and he used to question him and ask him things about things he was researching. And according to him, he used to get some pretty good information. So this is one of the fathers of our so-called psychology who was going through this, tapping into this energy. But no, people don't want to talk about him. People want to keep talking about Freud and dreams are nothing but suppressed sexual desires and brain chaos and all this other stupid stuff. The whole reason why dreams have been put down, it's very simple. Whoever, I don't know, whatever names you want to call it, elites, whatever. Well, I don't like getting into these stupid names and all these people, so-called people in power and secret societies, but they do exist on some levels, and there is a mass dumbing down of populations all across the globe. Even here, where I'm at, even in Japan, it's every country, no country safe, because I see it every day. And it keeps people unaware of who they really are. Why is it that when you travel back to the ancient past, so-called past of Kemet, Egypt, and you go back to Kemet and you see that, and even before that they were deep into dreams, they were deep into this idea of there being other realities. They were documenting their experiences. I mean, this stuff was it was just a part of their lives, and it was very real. Why? And this is not just Kemet, but cultures all across the globe, from Native Americans to everywhere. Everyone had this. Why is it that our civilization, so-called modern day, the epic point of civilizations, which is supposed to be now, we have completely no information. We have no real research. We just have completely no regard for anything dealing with dreams. It's unbelievable to me. We've chucked out and completely dismissed thousands of years of heavy documentation, guides, and just basic history that goes into dreams. And when you come to this point in history, which is where we're at now, there's completely nothing. It just died out. There's nothing going on. Something that you all need to research individually and think about it. But yeah, this is just something to think about. That our modern society doesn't want us talking about this stuff. I said it before in many other videos that, of course, when you say the word dream automatically gets dismissed as not real. But if people understood more and went deep and did more research, they would find out that real is not a matter of just physical reality. I've said it many times, and I'm going to probably keep saying it over and over, that thoughts create electromagnetic reality. So there are inner realities, and our thoughts go other places when we stop thinking about them. What do you think a thought is? When you think about something, what do you think happens when you stop thinking about it? You think it just stops? It keeps going, and it manifests into other realities. So, excuse me. Something on my lip. Anyway, yeah. So that's what happened. They basically told us this lie about dreams are nothing more than brain chemistry. And once people bought into that, that's when they lost all their powers. It was all gone. They lost it all completely. Because now they were stuck looking outside for the power. And the power is not outside. It's inside. And I keep saying this, and it's not just me. Many other people have been saying this for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, if not longer. The power is inside of us. And as long as we keep looking at TV, keep seeing that TV, as long as we keep watching television, watching these celebrities and these sports stars and these fake politicians and all these other people clowning around on television and telling us what to believe, well, not me, but many other people, they're never going to go into tap into their powers because they're always going to keep looking outside for someone else to tell them what's real. So that's what I have to say on that. Now, as I was in the shower, I had a burst of energy just come down. I told y'all last time about how things just download into me, complete, like boom, and then I just write it out. And I was thinking about something completely unrelated, taking a shower, chilling. I'm like, all right, yeah. Just cut my hair, shaved my head. I said, all right, got my head shaved. And maybe I'll make a video or something. And boom, all this info just jumped into my mind out of nowhere. And I haven't really sorted it out, but let me see. It was basically about time. And how time is nothing more than a manufactured system of control to control large populations of people. And what it is for me, my understanding of it, and this I'm not going to read to you exactly what I got, but just to summarize, basically time, well, we all know by now, you see my video, time is not real, time is space. But when you really think of time, what is time? I mean, what it really comes down to for me is, in physical reality, time is nothing more than something that, okay, let's just say, for example, you want to meet a person at 6 o'clock. So you say, okay, meet me at 6 o'clock in front of, the library, something like that. All that says to me, the whole time before that 6 o'clock moment point is completely irrelevant, not important. And what happens at 6 o'clock is me and this other person agree to create the same reality. We agree to manifest the same reality at the exact same point of physical space and time, which would be standing in front of the library. So at 6 o'clock, I go to the library. At 6 o'clock, this person comes to the library. And basically, what we're really doing is saying, okay, I'm going to manifest this reality subconsciously. I'm going to manifest this reality, and it's going to be in front of, the library at 6 o'clock. And the other person says the same thing. And then, boom, we just created a reality. Excuse me. And we're both here now at this so-called fake 6 o'clock time that doesn't exist, but we created it, and now we're both here. And this is what happens on a larger scale with work and all these other things. You got a company of people. You said the workday starts at 8 o'clock for many people. All that says is at 8 o'clock, you have 500 employees or more that manifest the same reality at the exact same moment, same coordination points in physical realities, space and time. So you got 500 people who all focus their attention at 8 o'clock, this so-called fake 8 o'clock, and they all focus their attention, and then boom, you have 8 o'clock at work. Because all these people are manifesting this at the same time, focusing all their energy at, we all have to be at this point in space and time at this so-called 8 o'clock. So this is why we have time and why it was given to us. We exist, going back to the multidimensional beings, we exist outside of space and time. And this is why we were given watches. And the reason we have watches is because a watch is a reminder to keep you trapped in physical realities, time sequence, cycle of time of 24 hours. It's a reminder. Because when you wear a watch, every 5 minutes you're looking at your watch, looking at the watch. And this further just burns this belief system into your mind that you are not a multidimensional being. You're a three-dimensional being, or two or one, who's focused in this physical reality. And you cannot time travel or travel to other realities because you only exist within this 24-hour time cycle. So this is why I don't wear a watch. And if I did wear a watch, it would serve nothing more than just as if it's like a piece of jewelry or something. I don't wear watches. Well, it could have something to do with cell phones. Keeping it real. When cell phones came out, a lot of people stopped wearing watches because you got your phone. So, but yeah, a watch is nothing more than a glorified piece of jewelry. Simple as that. I was looking on the internet the other day at some watches, man. They had some watch from $1.5 million, $52,000 for a watch. That's nothing more than a piece of overpriced jewelry. But yeah, so this is my understanding and the information that I pulled up from the other realms, from my inner self, about time. Yeah, time is nothing more than simply a reminder that, at least in physical reality, that two or more parties can manifest the same reality at a very specific, precise moment in space and time in physical reality. So, yeah, when you don't follow those rules, this is why governments and institutions, basically society, the status quo, that's what it all comes down to. And I had got some information about that. Just trying to see if I could find it right here. Yeah, I got this information. It said, because we are multidimensional beings that exist outside of time and space, this poses a threat to the structure of the status quo. When you exist outside of time and space, you are unpredictable. And when a force is trying to control you, when a force is trying to control, manipulate, and shape other people's realities to serve its own agenda, the last thing it wants is unpredictability. So if you are a so-called, just say, government, so-called elite, or whatever have you, if you're trying to control large masses of people, the last thing you need is them walking around, people like me. I mean, who's going, I am a multi-dimensional being and I exist outside of time and space. Fuck your rules. They don't abide by me. I mean, you know what I'm trying to say. Those rules, I don't go by those rules. I go by my rules. I create my own reality. You don't need people saying that. When you're trying to run a society, that is a threat. That's a threat to your authority. They don't want people thinking that. That's dangerous thinking. Many years ago, going back century, you could have been killed for that type of stuff. You could have been called a witch, a warlock, or whatever, and you would have been burned. But yeah, this is dangerous thinking. You don't want millions of people walking around knowing, not just believing, but knowing that they are multidimensional beings that exist outside of time and space. How can you control the population that way? Because at that point, no one's listening to your phony rules, no one's abiding by what you're trying to push down their throats, and everyone's just saying, screw you, I'm going my own way, man, leave me alone. So you throw a watch at them, boom, they got this watch, and now, you have them manifesting the reality that you want, just in the form of, just say, companies or work. And you have them manifesting this thing, and they say, okay, good, we got everybody under control, and at this specific point on a daily basis, they all will come together, and we know where they're at. And that's the other thing, not just population control, but the movement of population and where people are at specific times. That's why we have this fake sleep schedule, where people feel they must go to bed at 8 o'clock at night, or near this times. This keeps things in control. So you say, okay, we've already pushed on them that when the sun sets, that means it's time to go to bed. And we know that, just say roughly, at between this time, just example, between 8 and 5 p.m., 8 p.m. and 5 a.m., we know basically where a large portion of the population is going to be in their homes. If people didn't believe in that system, and they realized that they didn't need as much sleep as we're being told that we need, people will be all over the place. And you can't control people that way. You need to know where they're at. Exactly where they're at specific times. So, this is just some of my ideas on those three things. I'll keep this a short video. Yeah. Recently I decided to try to keep some of the videos short so that people could digest the information better. And I'm going to try to start focusing more on just cutting down basically and making my points more. Well, I probably didn't do it in this video. But yeah, I just want to, I'm trying to cut down on going on rants, and I just want to get the info out. And my purpose, what is my purpose? It's very simple. My purpose is to throw out information to unlock codes within yourself. We all have codes within us. And I said this in my last video probably, that the purpose of information is to unlock codes. If you're hearing information and it's not unlocking codes, then you shouldn't be listening to it, because it's just wasting your time. So if it's not making you think, or it's not empowering you, or opening your mind, or just giving you a different outlook on something, then it's not worth listening to and wasting your time with, because it's not trying to help you. That information is not there to help you with. Touch on this real quick. I had this experience that I wasn't going to share with y'all, but I'm going to share it anyway. Once again, it was another powerful experience. You know me, I get powerful experiences daily by the second. Right now, that was a powerful experience. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, anyway, I had one of my travels where I went into one of these other realms. And y'all remember my videos where I told you that I was battling gods and all this stuff, gods within myself. And basically I went into this one reality where the world was gray. Everything was gray. It was a whole city. It was nighttime. Well, it was dark. There was no sun, but everything was gray. There was no color. Now, I never dream without color. All my dreams are always in color. Dreams or travels or astral travel, whatever you want to title these things. When I say dreams, I just use that word so people can know what I'm talking about. What I really want to say is shift in consciousness. But some people may be lost. But yeah, I'm going to start using that term. I'm not going to say dreams because that just further enforces the idea that dreams are not real. So when I was in my meditation and I shifted consciousness, I ended up at this place and I was physically there. I'm not physically, but I was completely there, aware and conscious. It was a city that was all gray. And I was traveling through this city and I was really admiring the details of what was going on. And there were some people there. But I don't know why, something came over me and I saw some people that I just wasn't feeling too much. And I know I shouldn't have done it, but I did it anyway. I started flying and these guys, they were kind of like, they were real suspicious characters, up to no good, basically. I'll put it like that. They were up to no good. So I was flying through this city and slapping them upside the head as I went by. And there was a lot of them just walking around and, doing their thing. But they were trouble. So I said, man, let me mess with these cats, man. So I started flying by, slapping them upside the head. I slapped a couple of them. And I was just on the move, just flying straight through, slapping them in the head. And when I finally stopped to take a look at it, so I turned around, it was a whole army of them coming at me. It was like a mob. They were all running towards me, and they were angry. So I started battling with them. And of course, they couldn't touch me because of my abilities, and I was handling them. But I ended up coming back to the body, and my physical body, and I thought, that was interesting. I want to go back. So, oh yeah, and recently I've been able to, when I come back, I just close my eyes and very quickly, boom, I get right back to where I was, exactly where I was. So I came back, and this time I arrived back at the city, but I was at the front of the city before I went in. And on the outside, before entering this city, it was colored, but the city itself was gray once you entered it. So it had a type of shadow over it. So when I entered the city again, I was going through admiring the detail once again. And then the city changed to color when I got to a certain point. And there were these stone pillars, like stone or marble. And they were on both sides. And it led down a path. And then these large statues came out of nowhere with very big heads. And I don't know what these heads were. Somebody told me that they looked like the statues on Easter Island. You could look that up on the internet. And something similar like that. They had these very large heads. So they just started levitating, coming at me. These big stone-headed statues. And I used a telekinesis to slam them against the pillars, and they broke into like pieces. And then I jumped up, and I was on these pillars, and I started kind of like hopping across them. And there was a path leading. Sorry, I thought I heard something. Yeah, it was a path leading to somewhere. And as I was going down these pillars, there was a tree. And when I looked in the tree, it was a giant snake. I mean, a big snake. I mean, this was like some straight Anaconda movie stuff. It was a large snake wrapped around this tree. The tree was large. And I truly felt that the snake was there to scare me away. It was more like a test. So I didn't get scared, of course. So I jumped on, I grabbed the snake, and I climbed it. And I climbed the snake to get past it. So like I jumped, I grabbed onto the snake, and I climbed up it and leaped off and grabbed onto this rock that was there. It was like a stone wall. And when I climbed up this mountain, there was an opening in the rock. I went inside, and it was a temple. And in the temple, it had marble floors. It had some more pillars, and then it had some raised pillars that had some symbols etched into them, carved into them. And there was about 5 pillars or something like that. And each pillar had kind of like a bowl or a marble bowl carved into it with water inside. So I went up to one of the pillars. I dipped my hand into one of the pillars, the water. I don't know why. And I rubbed it on my head right here where that pineal gland is at. I rubbed it on my head like that. And suddenly the wall started to open up, and it just started to just kind of break open like sliding chamber doors. And I walked through. And when I walked through, I was very surprised at what I saw, man. It was a shadow entity, a large shadow entity, sitting in a chair. Kind of like a throne room kind. He was sitting in a big chair, sitting down. He was sitting in this chair, and to his right, at the right of his foot, he was larger than me, and at the right of where his foot was at, on the right side, was a shadow entity on that end, by his foot. Now the one sitting in the chair, he was very large, was all black, he had a hood, but his face, he was wearing a mask, which was in the shape of a skull. It was a white skull mask he was wearing. But he had all black, it was a hood, very similar to, trying to give the best description, which you would probably see in Lord of the Rings, ring wraith, that type of stuff. But he was sitting down, typical black entity that people see, with a mask that was in the shape of a skull. But the one on the right side at his foot did not have a skull. It was just a typical all black hood entity with just darkness where the face would be at. Now, there was something very different about this experience, because usually I would have tried to attack it and, go on one of my little adventures doing that type of stuff. But there was something very different about this situation. It didn't feel like my other experiences, and I intuitively felt not to attack this thing because it wasn't there to try to hurt me or challenge me. It was there as to tell me something. So I had the idea. I said, I should just attack it, and try to get something out of it. But I said, no, this is different. And I really felt it down in my core that this was a different situation. So I just waited. And when he spoke, the voice was, it was very deep, but very powerful, and I'm going to say not human because I can understand it, but it was just, I can't explain it. Words don't explain it, but it was a very deep, unique voice. And it said this to me. It said, stop playing games and causing trouble. And I knew it was referring to when I had went into that other shadow world moments ago and I was attacking people for no reason. It said, stop playing games and causing trouble. So then I just listened and I waited. And I'm looking at it, taking in all the detail, and they were just sitting there looking at me in this chair. And then the black one at its foot was also just facing me, not moving, nothing, didn't say anything. And then it said, however, you will be rewarded for your... What he said? Oh, he said, you will be rewarded for your honesty and your bravery. And I just sat there looking at it. And at that point, it raised his hand up and raised its right hand up. And out of his hand shot it blasted some type of light. It was a very bright light that was blinding. It just went poof, and it lit up the whole room. It lit up everything. And it hit me. And boom, I came back to the body. And I opened my eyes. And I thought, whoa, that was deep. And I took that as a message that was telling me personally, for my own self, that I didn't have to continue doing these challenges in the astral realm that I've been on, because I didn't tell you guys this, but I have my own reasons for doing that. I know a lot of you probably thought, damn, man, if he's doing his astral travel, why is he always causing trouble and wanting to battle everybody? The real reason I was doing that was I was trying to bring attention to exactly what I got, which was this being that was there. And I don't want to go into detail, but basically it worked out to what I wanted, the way I wanted it to play out. And I was basically trying to get the attention of something I was looking for. And I did get its attention. And yeah, it told me to stop playing games and causing trouble. So now, quite naturally, if anything does come at me in the astral realms or my travels, I will handle it as I see fit. But on the same note, I have to admit, when I did go into that one world, I did attack those people in that shadow city, that gray city, for no reason. And that was my fault, and I could admit that. So, yeah, it's time to become more mature with my travels and my abilities, and be more respectful and cautious in my travels, and not just rain havoc on, because that's the thing, sometimes when you see things that may appear to be a threat, they're not always a threat. That's just the way they appear. So we can't jump to conclusions and assume that something is out to get you. So a lot of people in their travels, they tell me, they send me personal mails saying that they've encountered shadow entities, either in their travels or in their room or something like that. And we can't automatically assume that it's there to hurt us. Sometimes these things this is how they look. It's very simple. That's what you would call, astral racism, man. It's not a real word, but I just made it up. I don't know what you would call astral racism or whatever. But what I mean by that is, when you start traveling, you see other things, and just like how people do here, racial profiling, man. Like, all right, I saw a guy with a hoodie on and an expensive sports car. He must be a drug dealer. Dumb shit like that. It's the same thing, man. When you start traveling to these other realms, you see, I saw a shadow entity, and he had no face, so it must be a demon. We can't think that way. So, just like there's racism on this side, you got to be careful not to fall into racism when you start going into your travels. You got to be open-minded completely. So, yeah. And after that, now he said, you will be rewarded for your bravery. You will be rewarded for your honesty and bravery. And he raised his right hand and shot out this blast of light that hit me. What did he mean by that? That's for me to meditate on and think about. But I have noticed big differences in little things that I've been doing for myself in my travels, and some added abilities and added concentration, and just all around added a boost of power to my abilities. So just remember what I told you guys before in the last video. The shadow beings or the shadow entities, they're not here to hurt us. They're not here to scare us. They're here. When you see them, that's your trial. That's your, I don't want to say test, because I don't want people thinking that it's all about we're being tested all the time, but I'm simply saying that is your key. I'm going to leave it at that. That's your key into what you want. If you want to get into this stuff, you want to go deep, you want to start traveling, that is the doorway. They are the doorway to the other realms. And if you can't handle that, if you wet your bed, and if you're getting all nervous and panicking because of a shadow entity that's in your room or in one of your travels, and you're getting scared of that, you're not going to make it when you in the realms of the other people are going to, especially the places that I've seen and I've been to. And I'm not saying this to knock you down. I'm saying this to empower you, to give you motivation so that you won't be scared. And you don't have to be scared of these things. You just have to step up and be brave. And be brave, that doesn't mean I'm not saying be brave and fight and try to battle these things. It simply means be brave and face them and communicate. That's what it's all about, is communication. So, yeah, I'm going to leave this video like this. Like I said, try to cut down the time so I could get points across more easier. But, yeah, that was my experience. Just wanted to share that with all of you out there. A lot of people, I've been appearing in a lot of people's travels recently. People have been hitting me up on Facebook. People have been hitting me up over here in Japan. Some of my students have been telling me, yeah, man, you were in my dream. A lot of people. Like, yeah, I went to sleep last night and you were there. And I say, yeah, what was I doing? And they were like, yeah, you were teaching me. So you were with some guy and you were teaching us about something about dreams. And you were teaching some other people. And I'm like, keep telling you, man, this is not a game. I am a traveler, and I travel through all realms, and I've been appearing in many people's travels, so you might see me. Sometimes I might be in a disguise. Sometimes I might be disguised as someone you already know, but you might feel the difference, because I'm going to get this message out. So, yeah, I've been doing a lot of things recently up in these other realms, and here, because I am here in physical reality, but, yeah. our power has increased. I want your powers to increase. And yeah, don't be shocked if you see me. Don't be shocked that that shadow entity pulls back his hood and it'd be me standing there in your room one night on one of your travels. But yeah, some people also told me that they've been making love to me in the other realms. Now, I have noticed that I've been making love with a lot of ladies recently in the other realms. And it has been just as real as anything in this physical reality. But that's all good, though, because I opened that door myself, and I'm powerful enough to handle it. So, yeah, that's why I said, these travels don't always have to be a battle. You could also make love, teach, and learn also. So, I'm going to leave it at that for right now. I'll come back with another video soon. But just sit down and try to digest some of the things I put out tonight. And don't be shy, people. If you want to hit me up, make a comment, or just say anything, you can hit me up either on the videos and comments. If you don't want your private information out there like that, you can hit me up in a private message through, just send me a private message. But yeah, peace, love, and harmony as always, and I'm going to get back at all of you at another point in this reality. And keep perfecting your dark artist skills. Yes, I'm using that term dark artist because I don't want to keep saying dark artist or witch or warlock. I'm referring to all of you as dark artists from this point on. You don't have to accept that term. That's just a term that I'm using to make it easier for myself. Because a dark artist is only one who goes within themselves, within their own realities, and a person who questions realities, who questions their own reality, who explores and creates. And that's what it's all about. Those top three: question, explore, create. Question, explore, create. Question everything, explore everywhere, and create your own realities as well. So that's it for now. Take care. Bye-bye.